This is the Padua Podcast Network.
Now, there are no long-term benefits to starving. Running a Fever, episode 132, Caloric Restriction and Longevity. Welcome to Running a Fever. My name is Michael Davis. I love my life so much that I want to make it last as long as possible. And I not only want to add years to my life, but I want to add life to my years. That's what this show is all about. If you feel the same way or you want to, come on along. We'll get there together. It's a long haul, but I'm not giving up. Not even on a rainy February Tuesday afternoon. I still think it's a beautiful day at Lake Fayetteville. I'm a little cold, but I'm not sorry that I wore 5 layers of clothing. I actually have my yellow raincoat on today. Did not wear the rain pants, but with the 5 layers of clothing, I'm not too cold. My legs are kind of cold. They've got 2 layers. And my feet are pretty much soaked already, but not going to stop me. I'm cruising along here, just past the old stomping grounds. I'm on my way through the disc golf park, Lake Fayetteville Park, and I have not seen a single soul out here. No cats, no dogs, no bicycles, not even runners. Not even the most dedicated runners are out here, but yours truly, your host of your favorite podcast, is out here to tell you what's going on. It's rush hour, so we got some traffic. This isn't a hugely busy road, but during this time of day, it can be. I've seen some grass coming up. In my yard, there's some green grass and especially wild onions growing. So I'm thinking the lawnmower's going to have to come out pretty soon, the weed eater and all that good stuff, hedge trimmer, and I'm going to have to use them. That's good. It's all right. Also means I'll have some nice fresh herbs that I will grow out in my yard or in a big pot close to my yard. And not sure what I'm going to grow this year, but I'm sure it's going to be some tasty additions to my healthy diet. Feeling good, feeling strong here at 53 years of age. So, today's show is about caloric restriction and its effect on longevity. Now, caloric restriction is a reduction in caloric intake of 20 to 50% without malnutrition. That means you're not starving yourself. This isn't a starving plan. This is a calculated way to be more efficient in your food intake, and seems to have a positive impact on longevity. Now, there are no long-term benefits to starving, so don't do this. Don't go into a state of malnutrition. It's not good for you. So there's a process called hormesis. And in this process, your body goes into a defense mode, which is abating some aging processes. Your body senses that you're not able to take in as much food, and so it is more careful about how it treats your cells, and the aging process effectively slows down. Now, there's really no evidence or knowledge on how caloric restriction works. And I've now got the wind at my face and the rain blowing at me. Okay. I can't even read my notes, so I'm just gonna. Whew. All right, well, the rain has died down a little bit, and of course now my glasses have fogged over, and you know, we're gonna do the best we can, and you know, if my notes get washed out, then you just have to deal with my 53-year-old memory. So there was quite a bit of research on this. In 2017, there was a report on a primate study. There were fewer age-related disorders in calorie-restricted primates. And since the 1930s, there have been many studies on caloric restriction in rats that has increased their lifespan. It has been found that caloric restriction preserves muscle tissue in primates. You wouldn't think that would be the case, but that's what happens. It's that hormesis kicking in. So it's not just for the reduction of fat, although that is a significant factor in longevity. Well, actually, it's an insignificant factor. You know, there was a really good video by Dr. Brunet, who's a PhD from Stanford, or at least it was on the Standord University YouTube channel. She said 1,200 calories is very difficult to do. Also, you may remember from the Blue Zone solution, one of the characteristics of the people in the lifestyles in those blue zones where people live more often to be age 100 and older is caloric restriction. So there have been research, because it's so hard to, you know, just restrict your calories that much. There have been there's been quite a lot of research on how to mimic the benefits of caloric restriction. A National Institute on Aging study, that's a government agency, said that fasting increases lifespan regardless of diet. And so their test subjects, which were probably rats, because it's, you know, primates, especially humans, would have a long lifespan. It's hard to study. Some of this study has been done on special types of worms and other model organisms that have similar aging characteristics to humans. This is called intermittent fasting. And a lot of people do this, you know, one way is a 5 and 2 method, right? You eat normally 4 or 5 days, and then for 2 days you know, like you'd maybe go 2,000 calories for 5 days, and then go down to 500 or 600 calories for 2 days, and then repeat that. And you still get that hormesis going in your body just by that limited amount of caloric restriction. Other ways are drugs. These are compounds called Caloric Restriction Mimetics, or CRMs, that may provide the benefits of caloric restriction and supplementation. Some of these, I'll just go through some of them. Rapamycin, that's a compound found in soil on Easter Island, and it's named after the local name for Easter Island, which is, I think, Rapa, or something close to that. And that's been found to increase longevity in mice and other organisms. Aspirin. Why do you think it's recommended you take an aspirin a day? Well, a National Institutes of Health report says that aspirin improves autophagy in mice. I have seen another person walking his bicycle, or her bicycle, coming toward me, so I'm not the only one out here. How you doing? All right, well, he didn't look too happy. probably his only means of transportation. Autophagy, which is, that's not a common term that everybody would know. It's a detox process that cleans out dead cells and makes new ones. So if you can increase that, you're basically increasing the life of your cells and making everything new. Metformin is another compound. It's an anti-diabetic drug. That's how it's used now. Comes from French lilac plants. Increases insulin sensitivity, making the liver produce less glucose, and this reduces glycation, which is a kind of body fueling gone wild. And this is associated with aging and is also found in calorically restricted mice. Okay, I'm gonna shut down again. It's getting a little too windy and cold. Well, folks, you are very fortunate to be a fan, or at least a listener, of podcasts like this. I mean, how many times have you listened to a podcast where there was some crazy dude walking out in the rain when it's a wind chill of 20-something degrees, now safely on the opposite side of Veterans Park and sheltered by some trees, but the rain is still steadily falling and it's still very cold. So I'm trying to get through this, and I did definitely realize why that guy did not have a smile on his face, walking his bicycle across the earthen dam that keeps Lake Fayetteville from overtaking the city of Fayetteville. It was dreadfully cold and windy out there. Would love to have taken a picture, but I was not going to take my hands. When you combine dampness, or actually just wetness, with cold and wind coming across the water like that, and you're out in the open, the effect is that your hands turn to ice, basically. Now, I did have my knit gloves on, made by master knitter Henrietta Davis, who is the sponsor of this show, by the way. But they were soaked pretty quickly. I actually was looking for my other gloves, which are a little more durable and waterproof, though not nearly as stylish as my black knit gloves. I do have the knit cap on, though, by the way, and it's been able to stay dry under my hoodie and my rain hood. And it is also now firmly kept on by the headlamp. Well, it's not dark yet. It's getting later in the year. It's getting brighter later. And they also came out here fairly early, so still good visibility on the trail. Well, before I was rudely interrupted, I was trying to read these soggy notes and tell you about some compounds that mimic caloric restriction in order to help you live longer should you take them. The next one I was going to talk about is resveratrol. And you probably have heard of this or know what it is because you've heard that, drinking red wine is good for you, and they live longer in Italy where they drink red wine all the time and all this kind of stuff. Resveratrol is thought to be the compound that actually causes that. And so this is fairly easy to buy, I think, in grocery stores now. Of course, it is found in the skin of grapes, and people take it to get the red wine benefit without drinking. It's also anti-inflammatory. Wikipedia is critical of longevity claims for resveratrol, says it has not increased longevity in rats in any study. I'll have the links in the show notes are going to be extensive, folks. If you want to read more on this and see YouTube videos, you're going to have plenty. Just go here and you'll have hours of enjoyment researching caloric restriction mimetics. Of course, you could just eat grapes, but I think one of these things, a lot of these are such that you can't really get naturally the effective doses. Now, another one on the list here that has been mentioned by several studies and talks is NAD+, which you can get a more detailed explanation of and exegesis thereof. Oh, my notes are just shredded now. Episode 125 on the Basis, the anti-aging supplement, will tell you much more about NAD+ than I could go into here. All right, how about Gynostemma pentaphyllum, or known by its short form, G. pentaphyllum. Can also activate AMPK. G. pentaphyllum supplementation in humans has been shown to exert effects seen in caloric restriction, such as improved glucose metabolism and reduced body weight. So the detriments of caloric restriction, there's always a downside. Risk of malnutrition if you don't do it right. Very dangerous. A very dangerous Minnesota starvation experiment in 1944, which was done on conscientious objectors. That is, people who thought that fighting in the war would violate their conscience. Not forced to serve, but they were forced, apparently, to participate in this Minnesota starvation experiment in 1944. And the effects were anemia, edema, muscle wasting, weakness, neurological deficits, dizziness, irritability, lethargy, and depression. Doesn't sound good. Got to be careful. Can't interfere with growth processes, so don't use if you're under 21 or if you are pregnant. And a lower than normal BMI has an increased mortality rate. Although it's kind of hard, I don't know. Talked enough about the BMI. So the bottom line is it's kind of like the blue zone things. It seems to be a factor, but it can be dangerous. Beware of the dangers of malnutrition. So, we need to be sure that we're, making sure you're adequately nourished, and more importantly, optimally nourished. In other words, you're getting the maximum benefit from your food, drugs, supplements, whatever you're taking into your body. I find that very difficult. I mean, it's a big part of what this show is about, and what my journey is about, is learning more and just trying to get closer to that optimal state. Just because of the fact that we're all different, and medical science is, although it's advanced quite a bit, continues to do so, it's still, there's just so much more mystery than there is knowledge. So, we keep trying to do our best and just try to be safe, err on the safe side. And don't starve yourself. I would say find out what your basal metabolic rate is, count your calories, and be sure you're above that at all times. At least. That's worked for me. I've not found any detrimental effects since I've started dieting that way. There you have it, caloric restriction. Well, it's a cold and rainy day at Lake Fayetteville. My hands are, they feel frozen right now. It's very painful. I really wish I had worn the rain pants today, because being dry, would probably make my legs warmer. You know, I've got this stretchy compression stuff on, but it doesn't really keep out the moisture. It's probably designed to wick moisture away from the body, in fact. But, you know, it's good to be out here. It's definitely keeping my mind off of anything else that might have been bothering me today, because, wow, the nature today is just overwhelming. It's in my face, literally. And I'm just about the only one out here. I've seen that one other guy, and then I saw a runner briefly in Veterans Park. And some other people in Veterans Park, but they don't count, because, you know, there's always shifty people. And I shouldn't say that. They're not really shifty. But I just haven't figured out why they're there. So, yeah, so one of 3 people. And I currently see a bicycle on the side of the road and no rider in sight, so I don't know what's going on there. It's not secured in any way. We're going to get done with this. We're going to get in a nice warm car and drink 20 ounces of water and then go celebrate my birthday by eating some tacos. Expect to be a small gathering of probably just 3, only 2 of whom will be human. Looking forward to that, and then tomorrow is another day, but it's a great day. Even though I'm cold, I still got the fever. If you don't have the fever, well, catch it. Get on board runningafever.com. If you got it, keep it, and I'll talk to you next time on Running a Fever.